Hello and welcome to our lesson today. I'm Teacher Nancy. I take you through how to get details whenever we are answering English paper 3 questions. And today our focus is on the short stories text, a text that a number of candidates have prepared on, and I want to just highlight what is it that we need to focus on. Specifically on the title story, A Silent Song, a silent song story that is written by Leonard Kibera from Kenya. Now the story is basically about Mbane. Our main character is Mbane. He is blind and lame at the same time. Mbane has spent his life on the streets begging, and he's gone through a number of challenges, and those are some areas that we need to identify as we read the story, because essay questions require that we gather as much details as we can on the story. It also focuses on matters religious hypocrisy, hypocrisy to do with his brother Mbane and some of the Christians living in the town or the city where he spends his life. And we also focus on generally challenges of living in towns. There are several challenges that people go through whenever they live in towns, and especially the kind of life that takes place at night, and some of these challenges. So majorly our main character is Mbane, and that is the one we want to focus on and see what is it that we can gather about Mbane in this story. At the beginning of the story, Mbane is in a hut, and it's probably part of his brother's house, or maybe a hut next to his brother's house, where his brother has put him there after what he calls rescuing from the streets. Now in this hut, Mbane is in a lot of pain. When we start the story, he's groping towards the door and is crawling weakly on his knees and elbows. He can't walk. Remember, he said he's lame, and he's crawling weakly. That shows that he's not well. The pain in his spine and his stomach is tormenting him. It's rapidly gathering violence. It's a lot. It comes so strongly that it leaves him paralyzed and cold with sweat. Those are the right words of the writer. And sometimes it would recoil, but then come back again and hit him hard. But then there are issues of sanitation here, because the room he has been put in is said to be full of dirt, flea-ridden floor. He hits his head on it when the pain is too much, and he gives in. And the place is dirty, it's flea-ridden. And we also have other matters to do with sanitation for Mbane. He says even showering, because he did not have a house, he didn't have a shelter, maybe a proper bathroom. And on the last page of the story, on page 20, he says that he was tired of that body that is incarcerated and in smell of sweat. It is unwashed except in the rain that he could only feel. So the only way he could bathe was through the rain. So these are matters hygiene. We also don't know if this is what has also caused him the pain on his stomach that he's feeling. Now we also have other issues of hunger, which could also be causing the pain that he's in. The writer says he did not know what time it is, but he was hungry. So he goes through hunger, and to him time did not really matter, because matters daytime, beauty are things that he could not see and he was not part of. The pain was so much that he could feel the weight of death closing in. He could feel himself dying. But then he kept struggling here, and he hit faced the world around him with strength, all the strength that it could get. His brother is said to be... Now, Mbane lacked a proper job, and in his condition, he says he could not, there were people passing him as they went to their jobs. He could not get a proper job, and he spent his day begging. And of course, there were people who were busy on their way to work. They would answer to his plea by dropping copper in his heart. He held out a heart to beg, and that shows that he never had really a proper job. And we also have him remembering life in the city, but then again there are other issues in this city to do with his life. There are matters, he had no shelter, so he would spend his day during the day on the streets, and at night he would go to the back lane to spend the night there. But because of lack of shelter, he was exposed to a lot of negative things. At the back lane, it was the best of thieves. It was also places where the pimps and the wars had a galore. Galore means they were very active at night, and this interfered with them because the noise was also too much. If you have to sleep on the outside and all these people are out, the people who are drunk, there are noises of bottles, there are thieves around there. We also have those who are singing. We have the pimps and the wars, there are quarrels among them at night. So that's a challenge of shelter. He also had a challenge of the weather. The weather was also not very friendly. In the morning you talk of the bright weather, but he would know it was daytime when the sun generously poured its heat on his back and flies crawled around the edges of his lips. That is when he would know that it was daytime. And at night he had to retreat to the back lane whenever the hostile cold, the place was hostile cold, so the weather was an issue with him. Matters loneliness, he would watch as people go to work. They would talk small talk, which he could never share. We had pedestrians who were singing, and some were whistling, and some were happy. There were dull people with heavy, tired footsteps, and of course all that, but nobody really spoke to him. When his brother tries to speak to him, he does not know. He does not reply, and the brother keeps asking him why, if he knows God, or why he's not responding. But he had no one to address on the streets but himself. And if anyone spoke to him, he could only carry the subject in a line of uncommunicative thought in his mind, because no one really talked to him directly. And we also told here that he remembers his mother. The mother is long dead. And the way the mother spoke to him about how people's life is like one stream, and flowing through rocks of life, and sometimes there are twists and turns, and the pebbles would get on the way, and these are challenges that people face. Bano felt he did not fit in any of those. This is a sign of disillusionment, because he feels his life had no direction at all. There are matters, again, he could never have a family. His brother is married, and when he asks his age, of course he tells him he's 14, but he thinks he's older than that. But he also says that he himself will never be able to reach out his hand in the fulfillment of his life in the same way. So matters settling, getting married, was something that Mbane felt he could never have. Hypocrisy, again, coming out with the people who are going to church on Christmas. They would just pass him there. Nobody ever remembered or actually noticed him. He felt he was totally ignored. And as much as these people claim to be, there are those who even cast him on the street. They said that he's able-bodied and he sits there begging, and so they were never willing to help him. They simply saw him as leisurely begging. But we know this was Mbane's life. And then there are issues to do with and the worst that happens to him, that is death. The brother is talking to him about his belief in God. He wants Christ to save him, but Mbane says he does not really know. He does not know, but he can see the light in his own way. Now we are told his strength waned fast. There was no pain, only weakness, and his head jerked to the bed, and Mbane was gone. But he was smiling. He was smiling, and even the brother Ezekiel and his wife Sarah are wondering why he went smiling. We would say that maybe he had accepted the situation, and he also saw death as a relief from the pain that he was going through, and he felt maybe it was a way out. So when you answer questions on A Silent Song, let's bring out the details that the writer brings out about Mbane's life, about the challenges he faced, about the situations he was in, how he felt the pain. You have to really bring out the pain, how he felt it. What are some of the words that show that? Why was he so tired of life? Do we have evidence of that? Let's have all that brought out, and we shall be all right. So thank you so much. Next time we shall look at the story on Ivory Bangles by Eric Nomaria from Tanzania. Thank you.